All right, we are here in studio in Chicago, Illinois. This is the first bonus episode of Beyond the Playbook, and we specifically wanted to, number one, just kind of go over the support that we've gotten already just by releasing, a few audio and video clips of our podcast and how much support we've gotten from, I was just so surprised by the amount of people that have already been very much into what we're doing with this podcast. And I knew we were going to get support from family and friends, but I've honestly been pretty surprised by the amount of, the amount of support we've gotten from everyone on this, and thankful for, the listeners we've gotten already. And, I think it's cool just to be able to, you were mentioning earlier being in Chicago about, even just walking down the street and
a couple people I didn't even know, walking into the restaurant, and this morning I was walking back from working out, and a couple people I didn't even know, that I didn't personally know. They knew who I was, and said, "Hey, heard your podcast." I was like, it gives me a whole new realization of what social media is. And for somebody who isn't on social media very much, and it's been very interesting, and but it's great.
Super cool.
I hope that that's kind of what we were trying to do, is get people, enjoy what we're putting out. And and that's really, we just put out 2 episodes, and just got some video clips here and there, but I think there's a lot better things to come.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the other thing that I also wanted to, mention is, after kind of putting our ideas together for this podcast, like, I honestly was, I was pretty nervous to do it. And I know you were kind of skeptical of the idea at first, and, I think that it helped having, our family behind it specifically, but I've never done anything like this. So it's like, it's all very new to me, and I didn't really know if I'd be good at it, this and that, but we kind of decided to pull the trigger, and it's been awesome having the support that we have. But
I've never seen myself as a media personality, so
yeah, exactly. Like, you
kind of going out there for me, stepping outside my box. So.
And also, which
Mom says I never do. So here we go.
Yeah, exactly. And now look at you. And I thought it was super funny. Like, we were on, we did the Twitter space with the Reddit college football guys last night, and me and Nate were reading through the replies and, like, kind of the, the thoughts on that kind of that Twitter space. And there was some beat writer from the Big Ten, I think, he said, like, the last person in college sports that I thought would be starting a podcast is Bo Pelini. And I was like,
there you go.
Honestly, you're right, man.
I'm right along with him. I didn't think so either.
Yeah,
so.
Like, right as you think the podcast market's saturated, Bo Pelini comes out with a podcast, which I thought was a really funny tweet from that guy. But we're also going over.
That was a Penn State beat writer, didn't you say?
Yes, I think so. But that was super funny to see. Some of the other replies were super, super funny. But we're also going to go over to Providence High School tomorrow. We're super excited for that. We're gonna kind of go over some defensive scheme with some former coaches of mine at Notre Dame that started as graduate assistants and are now kind of breaking into the coaching industry in high school in the Chicago suburbs. And we're super excited to go over, and I know you can help them out tremendously with just setting up and helping them with installs. And, we're super excited to give them our help. And I think it's super fulfilling for me to connect one of my family members to people I care about from, back from Notre Dame. It's a super cool thing. And, we're excited for that. But the other reason why we wanted to release a bonus episode is because we want to go over our new segment that we're going to start releasing periodically, which is the Sunday dinner segment. So to basically explain why we're going to call it that, and this is also part of the reason why we decided to start a podcast, is because you're, and I don't think a lot of people know this about you, but you're a phenomenal storyteller. I think it's super, I don't think it's super well known that you have a ton of great stories to tell, and you're very good at doing it. And we have in Youngstown, Ohio, where there's obviously a big Italian concentration, specifically with our family. We would have big Sunday Italian dinners where, we would have a bunch of family, extended family over the house to eat dinner and visit and catch up with family members and kind of just have a big Italian meal and just tell a bunch of stories and have some fun before you go into your week. And this is kind of the segment that we thought we could really make, a specific storytelling segment. And, I know you can talk a little bit about like the types of things that we might want to cover in the Sunday dinner segment, but we thought it would be we wanted to make it very similar to how we've always seen the stories been told at the dinner table on Sundays. And the first one that we're going to do is we're going to talk specifically about the NFL. Your time, you spent 9 years in the NFL as an assistant under a lot of great coaches, and obviously coached a lot of great players in the process. But the first thing that the first person that I wanted to kind of highlight is Brett Favre. You spent some time when I was young in Green Bay. He obviously had a phenomenal career there. It was he kind of grew up. He was an idol of mine in my childhood. I was it's pretty cool to have a signed Brett Favre jersey in my room back home in Youngstown. But what are your favorite Favre stories to tell?
Well, first of all, there's a million, million NFL stories, and 9 years worth, and a lot of great times, and obviously being around, Brett and being in Green Bay. Green Bay was a unique place to coach. I had been in, San Francisco, which was an absolutely phenomenal experience, in New England, which was a great experience. But Green Bay, very unique. It was it was before I went to college football, but it was very, it almost felt like a college town. Heck, I lived right around we lived right around the corner from the Favres, and really the number of coaches and players lived in that neighborhood. We were actually behind Lombardi Middle School, which that was an interesting place to be, because it was, we were only 3 or 4 miles, it seemed like, from the stadium and from Lambeau Field. And, most of the places you coach at in the NFL, you're in big cities, you're having to deal with traffic and a lot of the bullshit that comes along with that, of
logistically.
Yeah, logistically getting to and from the stadium, and it's just a different atmosphere.
With New York City or Chicago or
and in
Miami.
Let's face it, most of the time when you're coaching in the NFL, you're dealing with that. You're dealing, we were dealing with the San Francisco market, the Boston market, New York, whatever it may be, and that's a whole different animal. In Green Bay, it was, the closest big city was Milwaukee, and it was just a different deal, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it, family-wise, and you have a good, a lot of the people, in the organization, from the front office to the coaching staff to the players to the whatever it may be, a lot of people you interact a little bit more because you're in a smaller community. So that part of it was good and it was unique. And
I think my biggest regret, or not my biggest regret, like the biggest bummer of my college career was not being able to play at Lambeau for my senior year. We were supposed to go and play at Lambeau Field, which would have been so sick. But
yeah, I've had some great times at Lambeau, and I had some heartbreak at Lambeau, and but it was great, being around Brett. I mean, he's obviously a Hall of Famer, in my opinion, one of the greatest to ever suit up and play. I mean, his record of consecutive games played, I don't think that the average. I mean, I saw him a couple times, and obviously you're too young to remember this, but I saw him walk out after a game on a Sunday. Not just once, a number of times, and this is during the height of his consecutive games played, where he was on crutches and he couldn't walk after a game. And I think some people, hear some of these stories, some things like that, and they say, "Oh, that's exaggerated." And I'm like, no. Like I went home a couple of times on Sunday. We went out through the gym after the game and saw him on crutches and. Kind of with the families and coaches, and thought there's no chance that he's going to play the next week, and he always found a way, and
that's why he played 297 consecutive games.
And you have to have a level of toughness, of competitiveness, and you can find every adjective you can. It's special what he did, and what he was able to do, and it wasn't just luck. I mean, this. People, I almost equate it to that hockey mentality of, I'm playing, my team needs me, I'm going to play. And I just have so much respect for him for that. But he was and just a great guy to be around. He was going to, in that cold weather of Green Bay, it was, once it hit October, November, whatever, usually probably October, it was cold. And once it got cold, once it snowed, it was going to be around for a while. And, 99% of the time he was in his shorts and flip-flops, and he had this Nike hat. I think it was supposed to be red. It was like one of the old Tiger Woods hats with the little logo on it. And Mom always said.
That was his fit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mom always used to say, "Why does he wear that pink hat?" I'm like, it's not pink. It's supposed to be red, but it's so old. It's been so old. Yeah. It had a lot of character to it. But
you always would talk about how you would just show up in his truck to get on the plane, and then would just.
Oh yeah, everybody else would be. A lot of the guys, they'd be trying to make a statement with their outfits and suits or whatever it is, and he would get dressed up. He'd put jeans on to get on the plane, but that's about it. That's about as dressed up as he got for road trips or going to work. But
so if it wasn't shorts and a t-shirt, it's whatever jean company he's sponsored by. He's wearing those jeans.
Oh yeah, I think whatever Levi's or whatever he was doing, but most of them were faded and old. But he's just a special guy. But he was. I used to laugh. I remember the time we pulled into the parking lot and we're going in, and it was probably like the second, third day of mini camp, whatever it was. And he pulls in, and so I'm getting out of my truck, and he gets out, and this kid who, an undrafted free agent comes in. This is like May or whatever it was, and he comes to Favre pulls in, and kind of an older pickup truck, whatever. He didn't care, and this kid pulls in and probably signed for like $3,000 or $4,000 to be on the team, and pulled in an $75,000 car, and
he pulls up in his beat up pickup truck.
And he looks at me, and I look at him, and he didn't really have to say anything, and he's just like shaking his head as he walks in the door. Like, some people will never learn. He just spent all his money, and how's he going to pay for that truck? Yeah. But anyway, it was
like,
just,
here's this clown.
But that's the way he was. He didn't even have to. He didn't even have to say it sometimes. And
you just knew he was thinking.
Oh, I remember there was a time, Patrick. Like, see, when the coaches would put in plays for, obviously I was on the defensive side. So when the defense went, I'd be standing back behind the offense, and kind of talking to my guys, but watching what's going on with the offense. And, we ran the West Coast offense, and the plays were, Brett knew the offense like the back of his hand. But, you always get into that point where, the coaches would have a couple specific things they wanted to look at. And, because he knew the offense so well, they would put these plays in and, maybe a couple new wrinkles, new pass plays. And I'm sitting back behind the offense, and I can, he drops back, throws the ball or whatever, and they're like, no, the coach, they were getting so pissed at him. They were like
wrong, like the wrong read or like the wrong, like
timing. Yeah, like they specifically put this play in to go to whoever it was, and you're only going to run the play one time, and let's say it was meant to go to the
right, because the whole practice
to the X receiver or whatever, and he would throw it and the ball goes to the tight end, and I could just see that the offensive coordinator is just. I felt like his head was going to pop off, and we finished the set and whatever. We go to special teams, and I'm like, "Hey, Favre, what the why do you do that? Why do you get them all upset?" Like, and he was like, "Because I know if it's for the guy who's intended, I know where he's going to be." He goes, "But when shit breaks down, and I want to know where all the other guys are."
Oh,
and
so like he wanted to practice who else he would throw to.
Yeah, but
if he
wouldn't
open.
Tell anybody else that. He would just, they would be ready to, it was just so funny.
But he could do what he wanted because he
knew what he was doing, and he
was great on Sundays.
Yeah, we were in a mini camp one time, and he always would make he would give the impression that. He wasn't into the detail and that type of thing, and his arm got him out a lot of, he could make
some crazy throws.
Yeah, crazy throws and throws that other people obviously couldn't make. And we're in a mini camp, and we're in cover 2, and he rolls out to the left, and we got our half safety's kind of right on the hash, and he kind of stops on the numbers, and throws it right in the hole to the receiver going down the sideline. I mean, just not probably the read that
they drew up.
Yeah, that they drew up, but B, it was like a dangerous throw, but he made such a phenomenal throw. The safety went, and it got there before the safety. I think it was Antonio Freeman catches it, breaks inside, and it's mini camp, and I look at him and I said, "That's a ballsy throw against cover 2," and he looks at me and he says, "That was cover 2?" And he looks at me and and winks, and I can see the head coach is just turning red. He's just
so he said it right.
Oh yeah, everybody could hear him. He was like,
so you just said it.
He was like, "That was off." Oh yeah, he goes, "That was cover 2," and he winks at me and walks back into the huddle, and I'm like, "Oh my god."
Oh yeah. So he would just
drive them
people's nerves.
Nuts. Yeah. But but when it came Sunday, he could do it.
He
boy.
did he did the job. Yeah. He the best off the field Favre story that I always like telling people is the Christmas time mass. I don't know if it was Christmas Eve, but
it was right around. Yeah, it was. I think it was right after a playoff game. It was probably the 22nd, 23rd. It was. Back when, late in the year, the NFL, they start playing using the Saturdays. And so we had the Saturday noon game. And so we're done early. And everyone's all, you're happy that you won the game. You're happy that you get a night off. You get to, and so, I think we were done, probably walking out of there 4:30, 5 o'clock. And, I think half of Green Bay was like, "Oh, I had the same idea," including him, that we're going to go to, go to church, on the way home, 5 o'clock mass, whatever time it was. So we all head out to go to church, and the place is packed, it's Christmas time, and everyone's happy. A lot of people probably went straight from tailgating, and so we're kind of, so Mom had Kate, who was a baby at the time, and so she's got her in the carrier, and she's taking care of Kate. My only job was to watch you, which was harder than playing the game that we did that day, because to say you had a little bit of energy at that age was
High motor.
Yeah, you were a high motor kid. And so we go in there and it's packed, and people when stand on the outside, all the pew, everything's full, and I'm watching you, and everything's going good, and Brett's like across the aisle from me, and he's sitting there, and it's probably getting close to communion or whatever it was, whatever time of the mass it was, and I kind of reach over, and I kind of out of the corner of my eye, I feel him. I look over, and he's kind of looking at me, and he says, I hear him, Bo. I'm like, yeah, and he looks at me, and he like nods, and I'm like nod to him, like, hey, what's up? And he's like, no, and he's like, look, and I look down, and you're not there, and I look up at the altar, and there you are. You're about a step and a half up onto the altar,
in front of the whole.
Oh, in front of the whole city of Green Bay. And,
yeah.
Oh my God! So I'm sprinting down the.
Glad I made
aisle
you proud in front of the whole Green Bay Catholic community.
And I'm running back down. Everyone's looking at me, and everyone's laughing, and everybody but your mother. She was not happy with me. But
oh yeah, and
I failed.
Failed. You didn't do your one job.
Yeah, but interesting. You remember we were some great time. I like I said, I enjoyed coaching there, but. Ironically, excuse me, but ironically, Lambeau changed back when, they did the renovation, I think right as I was leaving. They had built the mall and all that stuff that went with it. But, it's kind of different than I was in the old Lambeau. And I remember probably my first game ever coaching there. We were in San Francisco. We had won the Super Bowl in '94, and I think it was the next year. It was in '95, and and I thought we were better. We had a little bit, probably a better, more consistent defense. We were really good, and we went in there on Monday night to play them, and which what ended up being for home field advantage, and we. I'll never forget that game. Like, first of all, I remember, when you think about in Green Bay, you think about, in this day and age, everything that goes on. I remember my first experience. I'm up in the press box, and I'll never forget that night when they sang the national anthem. It felt like the whole, town was singing the national anthem, which was really cool.
And that was before you guys were playing the Niners, or
I was with the Niners.
Oh, you were with the Niners.
That was my
Lambeau.
first time I was there. It was as an opponent. We were playing them on Monday night, and it was a huge game. And I thought, this place is really cool. This is a great environment. And I think we didn't have Steve Young that night. He was hurt, and Elvis Gerbach was our quarterback, and we played that game, and we were up. If I'm correct, we were up 16-7 in the fourth quarter, and this was before replay and all that. And Favre, we get them rolling. We're up by 9 points, maybe whatever it was, maybe 11, 2 scores, and we get them like 3rd and 15. And Favre throws the ball to Don Beebe. Never forget this. Ball bounces, he traps it, catches it. Merton Hanks, one of our safeties, runs by and just kind of jumps by him, tags him on the back, whatever it was. And Beebe gets up and runs 75 yards for a touchdown. Well, if I remember right, the replay showed, he didn't catch the ball, but they said, not only that, but they said that we didn't touch him. So it goes from 3rd and 15, we're up by 2 scores, thinking we're going to get the ball back, to bam, they go, they catch the ball, they're right back in the game, place is going nuts, and we end up losing that game in overtime, and we lost home field advantage, and we end up having to play them in Green Bay in a mud bowl in the NFC, whatever, I can't remember, was the semifinals or the championship game, and we lost. And But it was just weird how, you always talk about how plays that kind of
completely
change a
changed the game.
season. And,
Yeah.
there was one. And I got to tell you, I remember that like it was yesterday. I remember that whole sequence and the thing and how that affected that season. And but that was like I think that was my first exposure to Lambeau. And then I was also with Green Bay on 9/11, which once again, that was just a day that I'll remember for the rest of my life. And we ended up playing that. We were the first NFL game. I think we played the Redskins, and we were the first NFL game after 9/11 that was on TV. And they brought the American flag. They like draped it. It was went all across the field. And once again, it's one of those moments like I'll never forget that. And this time I was coaching in Green Bay, and like chills go down my spine. I remember when they played "Proud to Be American."
Moment.
And
Right.
and the anthem, and both teams walked out and held the flag, and it was just something special. And then you have whatever it was 75,000 people or whatever singing, and you get tears in your eyes. And I mean, to this day, when I think of that moment, chills go down my spine. It was just, because obviously the whole nation was coming together in the sea. It was just a special moment. And so there were a number of things that happened when I was in Green Bay that.
That's such a cool stadium, like Lambeau.
There's no place like it. There's so much history there, and it's a unique NFL place. It's a unique experience. Anybody who loves football.
Ought to go see a game there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go experience it. And because like I said, there's no place else in the NFL like it. Like
Best stadium in the NFL.
You're in a small town.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's I mean it's the most unique. And I mean it can stand up to it. Doesn't have probably all the bells and whistles that some of these new stadiums have. But the history,
it's very traditional.
The atmosphere, heck, it's in a it's in a little neighborhood, and it's where football started. I mean, growing up, I remember watching like yesterday Bart Starr. The highlights of Bart Starr and them playing in the Ice Bowl, and I mean, there's just so much history there, and I think they do a good job of. The old school, they maintain it well, and the old school NFL people who say they love football, they love the NFL. You have to go to Lambeau Field. You have to go there. You have to be there and be a part of it.
Yeah, I'll have to. I still have to go and see a game.
You just don't.
I don't remember it. Yeah, but that's. I think that's a good place to wrap up our Sunday dinner segment. We're gonna bring a few more of these to you guys. We hope you enjoy. Make sure to like, subscribe, engage, save, all of that. We appreciate everyone's support up to this point. We're going to keep bringing you a few episodes the next few weeks, few days, and hope you guys continue to enjoy. So we wanted to bring you guys another segment that we are going to call the Book of L's. So to be deemed, to be appointed to the Book of L's, you have to just come up with a pretty absurd tweet or an absurd sports take that just is absolutely ridiculous. I've been inspired by a different Twitter account that's more applied to the political space, but we don't really want to go into any of that, so we wanted to kind of apply it to sports media in particular, and how it's pretty much a dying traditional media outlet, specifically in athletics. But the first one we want to go over is this one here, basically implying that Tua's a shitty quarterback and that Colin Kaepernick would be better than any option for any of the teams listed here, which you know, is
Which is
ridiculous
asinine.
he hasn't played in years. He has, no matter how you feel about his social stance, he is absolutely a distraction for his team. It's not. It
Well,
takes
who
away
wrote that? Who wrote that? Who wrote
Pro
that?
Football Talk.
Yeah, like who in pro football? Like I would like to have
Just,
that guy's crystal ball. Like so, whatever. I wish he would lend his crystal ball to the general managers out there. You know, Chris Greer from the Dolphins or whatever. I mean, if he had that crystal ball, we'd all win championships, baby. I mean, that's.
That's just,
Let me book this guy. He gets a major L for that.
That's an L take. Pro Football Talk has just thrown out plenty of awful takes for the NFL.
And then you can just
adds to it.
just go back a few years, and they were probably trashing Colin Kaepernick before any of this happened.
In fact, we'll bring you a few exhibits here. Just absolutely trashing Colin Kaepernick's game, and now just making it completely.
Now he's the savior.
Yeah,
because he knelt. Because he was a kneeler, so they liked the social stance, so now he's the savior.
Yeah, now he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But the next one we have here is, obviously it was a mistake, but we have to give him an L. You can't. The graphic design team for USC. I'm sorry, you're booked. You can't put Chinese fighter jets up on a Memorial Day tweet. That's just.
It's communist.
Yeah. no, but it's just definitely not an American.
It's a communist tweet. I mean, so let's call it for what it is. And USC, everybody part of that department, you're booked.
Yep, USC football is booked.
I found this one.
This is the one that we really wanted to dive into.
It talks about the hypocrisy of.
And we talk about this. We've talked about this over the years with your career, with my career at Notre Dame. We both have seen it with the teams that we've played and coached for. But this is one that it's a little bit older, but I really wanted to bring it to light because this just shows how fair-weathered fans can actually be and can really just turn on you or be your
Not
best
just
friend.
fans, but more importantly, these outlets.
Yeah, the sports media outlets like this.
And like people like this, that's what they are. They're not really reporters. They're fans.
No, and
I can handle a fan being that way, but somebody who's supposed to be professional about how they go about their business and is writing just emotionally based on what the outcome was.
Of the game.
Yeah.
That's
not acceptable.
That might be confused by both tweets that we're comparing here. Slap the Sign, I think Notre Dame beat writing organization, puts out on their LinkedIn page an article that says Jack Cohn. They say Jack Cohn can't continue to lead the Irish offense, and then not even 2 weeks later, they tweet from their Twitter account that Jack Cohn shows true leadership and guides the Irish to a 32-29 victory. Just goes exactly against what they said.
It's the greatest
prior.
It's the greatest example. They just ride the waves.
Yeah,
they ride the ups and downs, and
whoever's gonna get the.
It's
clicks.
easy to be right when you already know the outcomes of things.
Oh, yeah.
Or whatever I shouldn't say right. It's easy to have an opinion and just.
And I didn't even play with Jack Cohn, but just to go from.
But I remember when this came
0
up.
to 100.
I remember when this all came up, and like you say, I don't really follow it either. I remember you talking about it. We talked about it, and it's the hypocritical world that they live in.
Yeah,
their whole world.
If you contradict yourself if you contradict your own take, not even a week later, that's you're in fact we have to impose a double L for slap the sign.
Book them twice, yeah.
But they're booked, and that is going to be the last of our L's for the week. But if you guys have any other L takes that you would like to share with us, please drop them in the DMs or in the replies.
We're always taking nominations
We're always looking to dish out some more L's, and this is just the start of it.
If you think someone's an idiot, bring them to our attention because we're all over it.
All right, thanks guys.